If you're using Claude to run your marketing, your campaigns, your automations, your social, we need to have a quick chat because Anthropic just dropped a whole new model. It's called Claude Opus 4.8. And there are two things inside that will change how you work. The first one fixes one of the most annoying things about AI. You know, where it hands you something with like total confidence and it's just wrong. The second is a tiny setting almost everyone scroll right past. Don't. It can make Claude faster or make its answer even better. If you're new here, I'm Tony. I'm a product marketing consultant. 10 years in now, I've helped companies pull in millions in pipeline and revenue. Just a quick heads up, I'm not going to go into too much details about Claude Code or any of that techie stuff. This is all about the chat, the part where I actually use a lot of. The full articles is linked in the YouTube description. So let's get into this. So here's the announcement. Claude Opus 4.8. Opus is the most powerful version of Claude, the big brain. Anthropic took the latest version, 4.7, and upgraded. It's better across the board on their benchmarks. The way to put it is that it's a more effective collaborator. And here's the part that I love. It's available today, same price as before. You didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to pay an extra cent more. You just woke up with a much smarter Claude. And it also shipped with a couple of new things. The big one for us, you now control how much effort Claude puts into a task. That's the setting that I teased earlier, and I'm going to show you that in a few more minutes. And one more, there's fast mode. So Claude runs about 2.5 times faster there. And it's now 3 times cheaper than it used to be. So it got smarter and the fast lane got cheaper. So here's the proof. Let's go down here. There's a benchmark table where 4.8 beats the old version across the board. And it leads most of them against the big names too, like ChatGPT or Gemini. I won't sit you here through every single number, but here's what matters the most. Who's vouching for it? Like, what are the customers saying about it? So Cursor says that it beats every previous Opus on their coding test, and Harvey, the legal AI company, says it just posted the highest score they've ever recorded for real legal work. Now, here's the upgrade that actually matters for us. It's the honesty. Anthropic said it straight. One of the biggest improvement in 4.8 is honesty. Here's the problem they're fixing with that. AI loves to jump to conclusion. It confidently tells you that it knows something when it didn't. So in plain English, to me, it hallucinates. And 4.8 is built to do that a whole lot less. Think about how you actually use Claude. You ask it for a launch email, a landing page, some stats for a campaign. The nightmare is that it makes something up, a fake statistic, a customer insight out of thin air, a claim you can't back. You don't catch it in time, and then it goes out the window to the public. 4.8 is trained to stop doing that, to raise its hand when it's unsure instead of bluffing. Here's the hard numbers about the code. It's about 4 times less likely than the old version to let a flaw in its own code slip by without flagging it. But it's not just code. Across the board, testers say it's quicker to admit when it's unsure and slower to make claims it can't back up. Here's what that looks like day to day. Instead of confidently writing, study shows 73% of customers prefer X, is going to stop and say, hey, I made up that number. You want to find a real source. Or while writing your copy, it goes, I'm assuming your audience is X. Is that correct? Instead of just guessing and rolling with it. That's the difference between an intern who just nods at everything and one who actually tells you the truth. So for us, that's less fact checking, less rewriting, more trust in what comes out of Claude. Okay, so the second thing, the setting I don't want you to scroll past, it's called effort. It sits right next to where you pick your model. So think of it as a gas pedal for how hard Claude thinks before it answers. By default, it's on high, great for everyday stuff. You can push it all the way to extra or all the way to max when you want it to really chew on something. Or ease it down when you just want a quick answer and don't want to burn through all your usage. Quick note so you're not confused. This isn't just a 4.8 thing. You find effort on Sonnet 4.6 too. So it's a dialogue that you got across your models now. So when do you use what? Here's the rule I follow. For quick stuff, brainstorm, social posts, rough draft, leave it on high or ease it down to save usage. The stuff that matters, a launch email, a landing page, or anything that has to nail down your brand voice, bump it up to extra. And then the big swings, a full campaign, long form, something strategic, that's when you reach for max. Match the effort to the stakes. Now, I could run the same prompt against every model and every setting to show you the tiny difference, but honestly, I think that's going to get boring really fast and you don't need it. So let me do the thing that actually matters. I'm taking Opus 4.8, cranking it up all the way to max, and having it a real job. The kind of big swing Max was built for, not some made up example, a real client work. Okay, here we go. Opus 4.8 is selected, effort cranked all the way to max. Here's the setup. One of the things I do for my clients is called a 3-week positioning sprint. So I help them narrow down their position and message on an offer so it actually lands. And this client is real. Before I went out on my own, I worked at ITI, Industrial Training International. They train crane operators and riggers. One of their flagship program is the Master Rigger program. So picture this, ITI brings me in to reposition it. And I'm not just asking for the position, I want the whole kit. I want Claude to sharpen the positioning and messaging, then everything that hangs off of it, like competitor research, a battle card, a one-pager, a sales script, an outreach sequence, email templates, and a week of social posts. Normally, that would take days of work for me to do on my own. I'm feeding it their brand guidelines and the course outline so that it's grounded. And see this last line? I'm making it flag who it thinks the buyer is before it writes a single word. Hit enter and on max, and it takes a real beat because I just asked it for a mountain of work. Now look at this. Before it wrote a single line, it stopped and it flagged the big one right here. Is the buyer the experienced rigger trying to level up, or the safety manager paying to certify their crew? Because the whole positioning changes depending on the answer. It didn't just pick one and run with it. It asked me. That's the honesty thing. And in the positioning sprint, that's exactly the judgment I get paid for. Now scroll for me because it built the entire kit. It sharpened the positioning and the messaging pillars, competitive research on the other rigging programs out there, a battle card for the sales team to use, a clean one-pager, a sales script, the outreach sequence and email templates, and a full week of social posts. One prompt, that's a whole stack of work that normally eats my entire week or more, and now it's just a draft I get to react to and refine with the client instead of a blank page I'm just dreading to go over. Now, it's still on me to double check everything. Drop in the client's real number and case study, pressure test to make sure the competitive research was correct, make sure every claim is something ITI can actually stand behind. But that's the point. It took me from a blank page to about 80% done on a whole stack of deliverables in only a couple of minutes. That last 20%, the judgment, the real results, the relationship, that's my job. That's on me. And it will always be and should be. But starting at 80% instead of 0, that's the kind of leverage that gives you your week back and makes you look really good in front of a client. All right, my honest take on this release. Anthropic themselves call it a modest but tangible upgrade. And I respect that because they're not trying to overhype it. It's not going to reinvent your whole workflow overnight. But the two things we covered, the honesty and the effort dial, those generally change how I work day to day. More trust in what comes out and the power to spend Claude's brainpower exactly where it counts. Real quick recap before we wrap. Anthropic isn't just stopping there. At the bottom of the post, they tease two things coming. One, cheaper models that do a whole lot of what Opus does. So this kind of power gets more affordable. And two, a whole new class of model, even smarter than Opus. An early one they're calling Mythos. A few companies are already using it for security work. So that's cool that it's about to go higher. And for housekeeping, 4.8 is live everywhere right now. Nothing to install, nothing to update. If you use the API, the price is the same and the model. And if that means nothing to you, perfect. It just works whatever you use Claude. And remember this, you know your brand, your audience, your client. Claude doesn't until you tell it. It's a more honest, more thoughtful Claude, just makes that partnership work much better. Feed it the brand voice, the buyer, the goals, and now you got a collaborator that tells you the truth and think as hard as the job needs. That's it. Go switch your model to 4.8, set the effort to max, and hand it a real piece of marketing. A campaign, a launch, something that actually matters. That's the fastest way to really feel the difference. If this helped, do me a solid and hit subscribe. I got a bunch of more Claude videos coming soon, and I don't want you to miss them. My name is Tony Chan, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.